Hello, Paul. How are you?
Hey Harris, very good. Good to see you, mate.
Yeah, good to see you. Yeah, I haven't seen you for quite a while now.
Well, it was the Steve Reich concert, wasn't
Oh,
it?
yeah, we went to Steve Reich concert. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
it. We listened to live minimalism. Was it music for 18 musicians?
that's right. Yeah, yeah, amazing.
This is something that we discussed before, but I don't think many people realized how much Steve Reich has impacted like techno and house scene.
Yeah, I mean, it's the essence of what he does is very much a kind of techno sound, right? You know, the kind of repetition and the syncopation and etc. It's just yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
But also, it also appeared in certain tracks, you know, like Little Fluffy Clouds, which is a section of music for 18 musicians.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, what really amazes me is how these musicians they can go out of the sync, out of the with other musicians. You call it sync, but yeah, but that's
yeah,
exactly what it is. It's the sync because
yeah,
musicians also sync
yeah. I
when
mean,
they play like records, like you sing two records. That's how he would sync two musicians, or
yeah. Well, it was like you'd have two people playing like a xylophone, like together, and then one of them would go out, and then to mentally switch like that, it's crazy. I mean, I couldn't do it myself.
Yeah, it's mad. And I actually did study Steve Reich a little bit, and I've seen that he's quite a lot into polyrhythms and into because he's lived in Western Africa for I don't know 4 years, something like that.
Right,
I don't know,
right.
and this is where he picked up all the grooves. And when producers are making techno or house, it's always like about polyrhythms.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think maybe people who are kind of still learning, maybe they still don't realize that, how much polyrhythms have to do with it. But certainly people who are producing, they're into like Euclidean circles and all that kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
crazy
yeah.
stuff.
I think it, you know, especially when you listen to something like techno, you hear it all the time, right? Um, a repetition on like shorter than a bar, so it cycles around before the end of the bar, and then if you do it on prime numbers, you get really interesting patterns, right? And especially if you've got more than one on different prime numbers, then you get really kind of like complex, kind of outcomes. Really, I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, it's all about the space between hits, isn't it? It's all about like how they kind of create because it's with live music in general, it's very difficult, almost impossible to keep in time like you would on the drum machine. So every hit is on the transient, that every hit
Yeah,
is perfectly lined up with the other one if that's what you want. But with musicians, it's always a little bit off, and I think Steve Reich certainly takes it further
yeah.
with that, it's concept. But yeah,
Well,
we could talk about that for a long time, I'm sure.
there's one composition he does called C, right, which is just every musician is playing the note of C, which you'd think that would be totally dull, right?
Yeah.
And it's just a violin player just going like that, and that's it, and then it waits for him to come back round. But with the whole orchestra doing that and the temporal difference, it kind of creates interesting kind of layers, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, very interesting. Obviously, you're a DJ producer. You've been for a long time, but I guess you haven't been DJing for a while now because of all the standstill that we have in music industry.
Well, I'd kind of stepped back from the DJing anyway. I was.
Have you? But you've
Yeah, well,
DJed in Fabric quite a few times, no?
yeah,
I remember
yeah.
that was wild.
Yeah, I was a yearly resident at one point,
Yeah,
playing once a year.
wicked.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of took it, I guess, semi-seriously throughout the kind of 2000s, and then I guess after the 2010s, I slowed down a bit. It was more I wasn't particularly down with the way the kind of music scene was going in general, kind of post-digital era and that kind of stuff. It wasn't particularly inspiring to me, so I didn't chase it so much. And things had changed somewhat where it wasn't about whether you were a good DJ anymore. It's about how many followers you got and how many likes you got and that kind of stuff. And I just thought that's not really the game I wanted to play. I still play every now and again, but I don't kind of chase it so much.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of started taking the production stuff a bit more seriously. I was producing, all the time I was DJing, but just kind of toy hobby things, right? Not really taking it too seriously. But I've always cared about the music itself, and I've always thought of electronic music as like the future of music, right? It sounds like the future, and I like the idea of kind of making the future, right, rather than kind of being an artist that looks backwards. So it really excites me just trying to kind of do that myself, you know. So it's cool.
Yeah, but you know, you're still recycling a lot of older stuff, no? Even if we are making futuristic music, you know.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, all music, you stand on the shoulders of giants, right? You know,
indeed.
Nobody's going to come up with completely new genre, well, unless you're someone like Scott Walker, you know. But that just doesn't happen. But you know, and of course you have your early influences, right? You know, with the stuff I make, there's definitely influences from, you know, my early time going out raving in the early 90s, right? You know, a lot of that is still there. So it's not like you throw it away, but you want to kind of evolve it and try and take it forwards if possible.
Yeah, indeed. And how do you think the times have changed since the vinyl days? Because like in 99, 2000, there was no MP3s, no? Like CDs, people were playing CDs, but nobody was really playing from the laptop.
Yeah, I think it's more how the industry has changed rather than anything else. I think there's an imbalance now, right, where people who made music could make money from making music, and labels that sold music could make money from selling music.
Right.
And DJs who were good DJs made money from being good DJs, right? So there was a real nice balance there. Everybody got their share of the pie.
Yeah.
And so if you were a good producer, all you needed to carry on doing was being a good producer.
Yeah.
Right. If you were a good DJ, that's all you needed to keep doing. But now it's a case of, well, if you're a producer, you pretty much have to become a DJ if you want to fund, you know, all of this kind of stuff, right? And to pay the rent. So, or if you want to run a label, you're pretty much not going to make that much money from it. So, you know, what else do you do, right? So the whole thing is kind of slightly skewed now, I think, and that's causing, you know, a kind of imbalance in the scene. So I think that's the thing that it would be nice to see that restored at some point, or that kind of, you know, where the people who were creating the stuff and, you know, putting their blood, sweat and tears into putting it out on their labels could actually get a decent return, so that, you know, well, the likes of Spotify and whatever are not taking all the money.
Yeah. No, indeed. But what I've noticed as well is people are using music nowadays more as a kind of add-on to their image, rather than, you know, be a musician producer and then have like the image as an add-on to music, you know. I mean, I think to an extent there was always an element of that, but it was actually quite difficult in the past to do that, right? You know, it's with a kind of democratization of music, whether it's through SoundCloud or you know, being able to release for no money on something like Beatport. I think that it's just easier for somebody to go in there with you know, a pot of cash and PR themselves. Or get a ghost producer or whatever. But I mean, this is what I was going to say. I was going to say the ghost production is pretty popular nowadays.
Maybe it is. I don't know, but
that's what I hear. That's what I hear.
Yeah. Well, I hear the phrase ghost producer a lot more than I ever had. Right. So or ever did before. So I assume it's a big thing now.
It's a producer with big white sheet over his head.
Yeah.
Ghost producer.
Yeah. But I think you know, it's like there's a problem as well, in the sense that if you've got a pot of cash, i.e. you're a rich kid, right, you can go in and buy, you know, your place in the scene. And when you say there's you know, this idea of being a musician or a DJ is an add-on, you know, it's like you're buying some cool, right? You're buying some credibility or whatever,
or a channel, or another channel. You're buying another channel, you know, to go to reach certain audience.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that it's sad that can happen, right?
Yeah.
Not mentioning any names, obviously, but
exactly. Yeah. But they know who they are.
Yeah.
Great. But I'm really happy that you've sent me some tracks, and that you've said yes to this little chat over Skype.
Always happy to talk to you, Haris.
Yeah, amazing. Same. I mean, we've been friends for like very long time. I probably know you more than like any other person from this kind of house techno scene that we were circling, in the last 20 years. Yeah,
20 years. Yeah.
Shit, a little bit more than 20 years. I mean, all the babies are now at universities.
They're all going to the raves.
Yeah, exactly. So you told me you've got new label. That's really exciting.
Yeah, Dancing with Strangers is called. I've started it with my good friend Oliver Moon, and we've just done the first release, which is one of my tracks, or two of my tracks, with remixes by Oliver and Kirk Giorgio. If I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah, cool.
I never know. Who's a legendary techno producer.
Yeah.
Kirk's an interesting one actually because I've got so many of his records. I mean,
same. I do as well.
You can't see here, but I've got like bass traps which are records here.
Oh, nice.
So you can't see it.
Hey, maybe we can see it.
I've got so many remixes by him and so many tracks by him, and there's like a.
Here we can see it now. No, I can.
What's that? Sorry.
I can see the keyboards now and everything. You're full screen.
Oh no! What I'm saying is, I have bass tracks.
Oh yeah. Here we go. So you got quite a lot.
Back in the middle.
Yeah. Well, don't worry, we're there.
Yeah.
Cool.
So Kirk's just somebody who, as a DJ, I've seen and owned lots of his tracks, and everyone's got like a real high production quality, right? Real. And when we decided to start this label, I thought, well, who would I want as a remixer, And so yeah, Kirk kind of pretty much was the first one on the list, really, because you kind of know that it's going to be a guaranteed high quality remix, So that's cool.
Oh, great. Well, yeah. I mean, I did play his stuff, for ages as well. It's like I think from day one, really. From my DJing time, and what I've noticed about his music is that he was always more than just minimal stuff. Like
musical
concept, and bass line.
Yeah,
and quite a lot of layers as well, and interesting dynamics and quality productions.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, and that's the thing that I look at for the most in tracks that I buy, vinyl that I buy for DJing is some notion of actual musicality, right? Not just groove, not just a wicked bass line or some noises. Always looking for something that will carry musically the track, even on a kind of banging techno tune. I want something kind of musical in there, and it. 20 years later, 30 years later, with those records, you put them on the decks and they still work, and they still work because of the music, right? Not because of some mega bass line or just pure groove factor. So that's the thing that always carries, I think.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. So maybe we can listen to some music, because we could have. I have your 4 tracks here in Logic, so we'll just get on with playing them. Let me just get everything right. Okay. So that's fine. So actually, I could just forget there's a volume here in Logic too. Hey, so I can turn it up and down, turn it up, turn it down. So let's play. Let's play this one.
This is like the future right here.
Yeah, exactly. I can go here. I can go there. I can turn this up. I can turn this down.
So that bass line comes from that down there, the SH101, which is a classic techno bass line machine.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I've noticed it sounds quite weighty.
Yeah. And the kick is from this, the 99.
Okay. Nice. I've noticed like really warm sound. It's got the.
Well, I mean, I'm a big fan of kind of analog everything, right? So it kind of comes by default. It's just the. I'll when I mix a track together, I'll build stems
Yeah.
and then I'll put them through some of the kind of classic analog gear to really kind of give it a bit of color, right?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's just yeah.
I quite like the swing as well. Check that, like that. I think like a lot of producers they forget to do this, you know, because it's like it's quite easy to put like a straight kick and straight hi-hat and a bass line.
Yeah.
But just
Yeah,
to understand the offbeat, I think that's the key.
Yeah. I remember I was at Fabric and Tyler Stadius was playing, and he played this track with it had a similar snare pattern to mine on this.
Yeah.
It just always stuck in my head. I don't know why. It's just whenever I make something, I just kind of pretty much always end up doing the same thing.
Yeah. No, but I've noticed that in a lot of tech house records as well as like somebody like Nathan Coles and Niels Hess, you know, Get Fucked, you know, these guys, you know, they would always have swing on their records. And Mr. C, of course, let's not forget Mr. C.
Sure,
like his tracks are always very swingy.
And yours, let's not forget.
Oh really? Oh my god. It's the swing quantized, I think that's what it is.
Quantized swing.
but not 100% though. Not 100%. You know, never quantize 100%. If you quantize 70, 60, 60, 99.99999. Oh, I'm liking this. So you got a little bit of acid kind of in there, and nice pads in the background as well.
Yeah, that's
where's
from
the
this
pad
box
from?
here. This little thing here, it's like £100.
Okay.
And it,
Come a bit close. Come a bit closer to the camera. Wait with it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just put it in front. Yeah, that's it. Let's see it. What is it?
So it's the MAM MB33. I mean, you wouldn't buy it now because that's £100, and then the new Behringer 303, which I've got over there, is like £120, and it's basically the full feature set of the 303. So, but yeah, for little box, yeah, I'll be like just playing the filters on this bit.
Nice.
But and the 303 here does the polyrhythms effect.
Nice.
I think that's on the 7, so it's like if you split it to 16ths, then it's on the 7, it repeats around.
Okay. So 7 is effectively 3.5.
Number again.
3.5, no? 3.5.
Yeah.
So like half a beat behind 4/4, right?
Yeah. So it kind of goes ahead of itself.
Yeah.
So it drops in early.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
And this stuff has it been mastered? This stuff?
Yeah.
But
yeah, it was by Keith Tennessee actually.
Yeah, I quite like the way this was mastered, because you see, like it's like just looking at the waveform, you see that it's not like, you know, it hasn't been squashed to death. You know,
yeah, I'm not
still quite a lot
I'm
of transients.
not a big fan of smashing it. Yeah,
quite a lot of transients still there, which is great. And I think people forget that these little peaks that you've got in there, like these here, that's actually what makes your record punchy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's that's a snare, isn't it? That's a snare.
Yeah, I think also
tighter. Yeah.
Also, most of the streaming platforms now auto-correct for loudness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they use loudness unit. So smashing a record now is pointless. It'll just sound worse than everybody else's.
So look, I'm measuring LUFSs here. See that in your Logic analyzer. Okay.
Does it tell you? Oh, there, yeah.
No, this is like the stereo. This is the stereo, but here you can see it here. So I didn't. You have to reset this from the when you measure it, right, from the beginning. But I didn't reset it. I can just do a little reset now to see what is it from here. Because you can measure with LUFS, you can measure whole sections of tracks.
It'll get louder when it kicks back in.
Yeah. But what kind of LUFS is like average loudness. It's loudness over time. And
I think also you can see a dip in the mid-range there as well, which is that's something I do on purpose on the final mix. I'll use the curve bender EQ to kind of drop down. It just kind of demuddies the mix.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely, because you got a cut here around 500.
Yeah.
And you got another one around 2K.
Yeah, it'll be one that's kind of spiked like that, but it's quite a wide tip.
But it's quite bright in the same time, isn't it? Like this.
Yeah. Again, that's the same thing. I'll kind of shine it on the curve bender as well.
Yeah, nice. So you got enough time here to.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is that when this is cut to vinyl, because you're hearing the digital master, right?
Okay.
It has a brightness on the vinyl, but vinyl kind of you lose the bottom end and you lose the top end, right?
That's it.
It's really nice on vinyl, right? Because that I've brightened it up, but then it kind of cuts it down. So it's the shiniest vinyl I've got in terms of the brightest vinyl I've got. So it's a really nice cut.
Yeah,
Curve did a really good job on that.
Yeah, I think you can get quite a lot of mid-range when you cut on vinyl as well. You can really bring it out because that's what I used to do. Back in the day, I didn't have properly soundproofed rooms or anything. I mean, I just had to work in the space like everyone else, like in rented place in Brixton. And it was a small room as well, and I couldn't really do much rather than just some absorption. So some of my tracks did have to be mastered quite a bit, I remember. And but I was always careful with bass, because even if the room was shaking, even if I was getting quite a lot of resonance from the room, I would still turn the bass up. Because that's what people do. What people do in untreated rooms is because the room is creating the bass. They turn their bass down because they think there's too much bass. But it's a standing wave. Right? It's kind of adding up, isn't it? Yeah. It's adding up, and it's actually amplifying. It's amplifying a certain frequency. It can be anywhere. Just it's normally low mid, high bass, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And
I actually use this thing called a Trinov.
Go on.
Show you here.
That's it.
It's Trinov ST2 Pro.
Okay.
Which is like a room correction system. Now, I thought, probably like everybody else, that room correction systems is probably not that great. But I had some kind of holes at like 80 hertz, which is where kick drums often are. And some other problems. But on the whole, the room wasn't too bad, right? So I really lucked out with this room. But there was some definite problems. So I got this Trinov installed. And it comes with a 3D microphone, which is like 3 points on it. Each one's a mic. And then it plays noise through the speakers, and it works out how the sound is bounced around the room.
Yes.
And so what comes out of my system goes through this Trinov.
Yeah.
And then it will use certain delays and filters and whatever to kind of make sure that what comes out the speakers comes out at the right time, so that when it arrives in my ears, it's flat.
Yeah.
And I've got almost a perfectly flat
nice
room here, which is just unbelievable.
Flat line on a meter. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's because I can see that working really well, because you can treat your room, and you can use diffusers as well. You can build your own diffusers and things like that.
Yeah, I've got a few bits like that as well, but it was one of those things.
But it's never going to be perfect though, And with this thing, it just like kind of does all the fine tuning, right? It does all the fine tuning of the resonances of the room.
And I think that's a really important thing for kind of anybody who's starting out producing, right? Is that if the first thing you do is go out and buy synths and drum machines or whatever, then you're not helping yourself. You need to find a way of making your monitoring and your room treatment correct, so you can actually hear properly. If you can't hear properly, you can't make music, right? So
of course.
that's the first thing. But I often see kind of producers with tons of stuff like synths, but they haven't sorted out their basic monitoring, so they can't really hear what they're doing.
Tell me, what did you use in terms of hardware? Because you've got quite a few tasty bits of hardware. Maybe you can show a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So let me just turn you up here a bit.
Yeah,
so
that's okay.
Give you a little tour.
That's all right. Yeah. Go ahead. That'd be interesting.
All right. So we've got. You can probably see the synths, right? So, let's see. I've got a bit of an extender now. We should be able to get this out. Right. So that's there. Oh, sorry. That there is the Dave Smith Instruments OB6.
Okay.
Let's see if I can get some noise from this, shall I? I can't get it nice. Anyway, that's the OB6.
It's okay. Yeah, I can see it.
Which is a beautiful. That actually does the big string.
Can you hold the camera steady just a little bit? Yeah. Like that. Yeah.
That's the big pad sound that on the pyramid track that you just played. Yeah, the kind of the long synth pad. So there's that, and then here we've got the Roland Alpha Juno 2, which is where
nice, yes,
classic rave synth, right? So where all the Hoover noises come from. Love that thing. This is the Juno 106, which is probably my favourite synth. I love it because it's just simple to use, right? Can you see the?
Yeah.
So you've got direct control over, VCAs, envelopes, and so on. Just really nice. I can always find what I want very quickly, and it's got the famous chorus effect on there as well, which just makes everything sound lush.
I used to have one of them back in the day. Yeah. Sold it, unfortunately.
Everyone should own one.
Yeah. I did make quite a few of my tracks with Juno 106 too.
Yeah.
Love it.
Cool. JX8P, Roland JX8P with the PG800 controller.
Yeah, love
that
it.
Makes this
nice.
This as usable as the Juno,
right?
Because otherwise it's just all buttons, right? Which just means you've got to work with the presets, and that's a bit crap.
Right.
The classic techno bass line.
Oh,
right?
I tell you what, we used to have that one in Swag Studio, and Croydon, late Swag Studio with Paul Stubbs, and when I moved into my other studio in Gray's Inn Road, I was there for about 6 years, and my partner Rada, he had one of them, and he sold it as well. This is a wicked synth, absolutely amazing. And I have a VST version, like Reactor. I think I have Reactor emulation. I did use the Roland's emulations as well, but it just doesn't sound like this. It doesn't sound like this, like Piece of Kit.
There's a instability to it, which is amazing.
Of course, 909.
I know, 909, which is just a staple of mine. I just love it so much, especially the rides, which I don't know if you can see, the rides sound, which for a sample, just I don't know how it sounds so good.
Hang on, wait, go back. You've got a guitar there.
Yeah.
Nice. Gibson, Les Paul.
It's an Epiphany, so it's not real. It's not real.
Humbuckers.
That up there as well.
Maybe you should put some guitar in there, like run it through a lot of a reverb and a delay.
I've got my Valve Marshall amp. Up
there, you should, because that's got, people are not doing that enough,
40-year-old amp,
and you've got everything. 40.
Yeah,
nice.
That was my dad's guitar amp. So,
and then you got a tape machine on the right.
The Ampex. The Revox. Sorry. Was it the B77?
Nice. Let's see.
I actually hardly ever use that now, but for reasons I'll come on to in a sec. This is what I use for mixing, which is the SSL Sigma summing mixer.
Yeah.
That for me was one of the things that just overnight transformed my productions.
Really?
It just made everything sound big.
Oh, wow.
It's the same thing that's in the middle of what's the big desk that SSL does?
4,000 G plus.
No, not the old one, the new ones.
The Deltas.
Yeah. Anyway, that one. So this is the middle of a delta, right? But it's got automatable faders. So on I can use a plug-in to automate the movement of the faders, and they're analog faders. You just can't physically touch them.
Right. So they're digitally controlled analog faders.
Yeah. So, but I control them with this, which is the nucleus.
Yeah.
Right. So I can have automatable faders and an SSL summing, which is pretty exceptional, right?
Nice.
So let's see, new Behringer 303, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
130 quid. I mean, that's just
wow.
Nothing. I sold my real 303 last year for over £2,000.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not quite the same quality as a real 303. The filter isn't quite as as tasty, but it's close enough. It's close enough to not warrant spending another £1,800 on getting a real one.
Yeah. No, I see.
And it's analog, right? So you still get that kind of instability that you get from analog, which is nice. I mean, if you think about it, that's cheaper than 303 plugins, right?
No, of course. And you've got hands-on control as well.
Yeah, exactly. This is quite interesting. A little spring reverb, but with a spring outside, so you can do kind of effects on it.
Very sexy box.
Yeah, and this is a kind of similar thing. It's called a forest, and you can kind of.
Oh wow!
A little kind of, so it's like a spring reverb, but kind of all separate.
Like hand-controlled spring reverb. Yeah. Lovely. That's
for doing weird shit. Really.
Closest to touching the sound that we've seen so far.
Yeah, I don't know if you speak, you might even be on it.
1 2 1.
There you are.
Hey, hello latency. Good morning latency.
So this is an old CRT box.
All right.
So it's, you kind of get that instant reaction that you get from the real electronics, right? So
amazing.
This is good. This is more because it's pretty rather than.
Yeah, but it's a good monitoring tool. Oh my God, look at that.
Okay, so here we go. Let me just get to the back of the room.
Yeah, I know. It's probably not easy to do it, but.
So that's the modular gear.
Yeah. Can you hold the camera still just for a second? Just so we can see it. Yeah, there you go. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You got 6 lanes there, like motorway.
Yeah. So, this...
Wow.
This,
so tell me what you got in there.
Like, wow.
at least like, your few of your favorite bits maybe, because there's a lot of stuff in there.
Okay, some of the favorite, some are... So some of the modules are just kind of tool modules, and some of them are almost complete synths, right?
Right.
So I've got an 808 in module form.
Oh wow!
Right. Somebody's gone and replicated the exact
808
components of a real 808 side of a module.
Yeah,
that's cool. This here, Prodigy ER16. I'm not sure if you can see that. Okay. It's somebody's replicated the Moog Prodigy. Yeah, and it's the only thing that I've heard recently that sounds like a real old Moog.
Mad.
So that's nice. And then this one here, which is quite interesting, the 810. That's replicating the Juno sound, but like a single channel of it.
Have you got? I mean, I've heard there are some modules that they have they're similar to like glitch plugins. They have kind of randomizers and kind of like frequency modulation and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've got loads of that kind of stuff, and also stuff that just does wicked kind of random percussion sounds. So things like sequencers where these are the, I don't know if you can see that, these are the pitch of the sequence. You can see, I don't know if you can see the dots going.
Yeah, I can see. Yep.
So it's just really hands-on. You can kind of make stuff happen
really quickly.
That's what I really like.
And you don't have to look at the screen. It's literally, you've got a massive screen right in front of you, and it's 3D.
Yeah, exactly. And there's enough in here to make an entire track with.
No, of course.
Right? So it's nice to just sit in front of this and build something which is a whole track.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And then I'll get the channels out of this
Yeah.
and put them to here
Uh-huh.
into my SSL preamps,
Yeah, yeah.
and then they come through the SSL dynamics. So there's 8 dynamics, which are from a 9K desk,
Uh-huh.
and then 8 SSL EQs, which are from the 9K desk too.
Yeah. Wicked.
So I can get 8 channels out of all of this through the SSLs. I can EQ them and do the dynamics whilst I'm playing. But then in Cubase, I can then just record each individual channel on one, and then mix it, chop it up, do whatever I want. Right?
Yeah,
so,
of course, yeah.
So I use Cubase like a glorified tape machine to just record 8 channels in,
Yeah, wicked.
and then start messing about with those channels after. So after that, there's what comes out. Let's see, it's a bit dark there, isn't it? But this is the curve bender. Let me just try and get this. Sorry, let me just try and get you some light.
Right.
I think the sun has just gone in.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
There we go. Right. So yeah, this is the slightly at my limits on the cable here. This is probably my favourite box, the Chandler Curve Bender EQ.
All right.
And that's like a 2-channel EQ with the same electronics in as the EMI desk Abbey Road Studios that was used to record Dark Side of the Moon and Beatles albums and etc.
Yeah, amazing.
From the same thing as the Chandler Xena limiter, and then I've got the SSL Fusion. So this is like my mastering channel.
Lovely.
Right, so I might put stems through that, or I might put a whole mix that to kind of like really shine it up, and then I can insert on there down to the SSL G-Bus compressor.
Oh, lovely.
Which is obviously an absolute classic.
Yeah, and when you do stems, you can run them one by one through that as well.
Yeah, exactly. So while I'm down there, the Eventide H8000.
Yeah.
Which is probably the best effects box going.
Wicked.
And its predecessor, which is the originator, which is the H3000. It's the 80s. Well, it's the sound of the 80s right there, right? You know that you think of any of the vocal effects from the kind of synth pop at the time. It's all there.
Yeah, wicked.
And then the final bit at the end here. Well, not quite final. There's other stuff, obviously, but
it's never final. It's always final of the final of the final.
Yeah. So 2 Pultec EQTL clones, the Clark Technic ones, and then 3 LA2As clones.
Nice. Yeah.
And then 2 1176 clones from Warm Audio.
What kind of valves you got in there?
So I bought bespoke valves for each one. I'll just try and get you set up so I can.
Okay, sure.
Oh, sorry. Does that work?
Yeah.
Right. So in here I've got Telefunkens. See Telefunkens, right? So they give a really smooth, not quite hi-fi, but because you can't have hi-fi and valves, right? But,
yeah.
But it's like a much smoother. Less gritty sound, and it's really nice for these Pultec EQs.
Lovely.
In here I've got Mullard's CV4004, which were built for the army at the time.
Wow.
So kind of higher quality ones, and Telefunkens, same on that, and Telefunkens in there. So the valves themselves cost more than the units.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So probably final is the Super JV 1080, which is a kind of classic 90s synth. You hear that on lots of stuff from the 90s. A lot of LTJ Buchan stuff. I'm not sure if you can actually see if I can get some power on here. Right. And then the Kauai K1, which is this thing here, which is the sound of LFO.
Yeah.
Mix, right?
I used to have one of them.
Yeah. It's a really nice synth.
It's really nice synth, yeah.
And then they go for not much money these days. Here I've got the Roland Space Echo or Space Chorus RE501. So it's like the 201 but with chorus.
Right.
But it's basically the same thing. Slightly less gritty than the 201, but probably more useful for kind of modern music.
Wicked.
Because and
okay. And I can see you got it set up in a way where you can actually use quite a bit of the synths. You know, it's like you can kind of plug it all in and make a track, record it, and then not worry about it. You know.
Yeah, that's a big thing that I like to, because a lot of the reason I like all this stuff is because I can get to the sounds I want quicker. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So let me just open my windows. It's getting very warm.
Oh my God, yeah. And I can hear the machines as well making the.
Well, actually, I'll turn these off now. So.
Yeah. It's quite a pleasant sound actually. Of electronics working.
Yeah. But I like to get moving quickly. My creativity kind of stalls if I have to, set things up and whatever. So actually everything apart from the K1 at the moment is plugged in.
Yeah.
And I've got Cubase set up so that I've got all of them mapped to channels as soon as I start a project, and I can just unmute them and I can start running with them.
Oh,
and
cool.
things like the Eventides and all my other effects units I've set up as plugins.
Okay.
External plugins in Cubase, right? So I can use them like regular plugins.
Yeah.
So it's actually kind of so quick to get stuff moving.
Ah. Shall we listen to some more music?
Sure, yeah.
I think that'd be good. So let's hear this. Kind. There's a second one here. Okay, so let me just. Okay, so this one I'll do. Just one sec. That's fine. Okay. Let's get it going. As one.
Oh, that's the Kurt Giorgio remix.
As one remix.
Yeah.
So who remixed it?
This is a Kirk Giorgio.
Oh, that's him. Yeah. Okay. As one. Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. His production. Hi.
Yeah. Mix doesn't sound much far from yours. It's kind of there.
Yeah, his is not quite so bright. It's got the shininess, but it's not got so much thickness.
Yeah, let's see what comes in. But I can see that he left the space around 2K. See, also there's a cut around 2K there.
Yeah.
And there's a little cut around 500 as well. You see that?
Yeah.
Around there. But I've noticed that he's got there's quite a lot of brightness. So, and then when the mid elements come in, you can really hear them because he's kind of made this like smile in here. I see the clap when it comes in, you can hear it too. Well, and the kick is quite punchy, and bass is still quite big. I think did he use the kick that you sent him?
I'm not sure actually.
Yeah, because it sounds like 909 kick. I quite like these like sporadic elements that he's got in there.
Yeah,
that occasional clap.
I think with techno, that's always a thing that can allow you to keep the repetition going. Is to have like some shocking sound that comes through and then fades away, right?
And then goes back into the groove.
Yeah. You can think of it almost like how vocals work in normal tracks. Like somebody sings something, it's and then it goes back to the song. So you kind of forget about the song whilst the vocals happening.
Very, very Detroit.
Yeah.
Almost like strings of life kind of vibe.
Yeah, it was a nice contrast to the original, I think. So I think the whole EP's got quite a nice balance to it.
Nice. And when is this coming out?
It's out. It's already out.
It's out already. All right.
Yeah.
So you said you can buy it on vinyl.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It's Juno now, I think, unless it's already sold out. But you can go to our Bandcamp page as well, Dancing with Strangers.
Okay, cool. But I've got the WAV. Yeah, I must spin this somewhere when I have the opportunity, for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, it's tracks from your EP. Yeah, nice. And you see the difference when he kind of takes the pads away and leaves these kind of like phased rides, but they're like rides with a lot of kind of phasing or something on them. LFO to pitch or something like that to rides. Looking at I don't know what it is. Maybe he can comment and tell us what he used like. When he made the rides.
Funky delay of some sort, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah.
Effectful delay.
And then it goes back into the pads. Just pads. This is nice. Like a Jesus moment. Yeah.
It's done there, goes. Oh.
It's probably gonna take the strings out very soon somewhere.
No, it's going to play a little melody over it.
Oh, okay, nice. See, but he doesn't have any mid-range elements in his drums. You know, there's no snares or claps or anything. That's why you can hear these strings and the melodies that he's playing quite clearly, because he's leaving quite a lot of space here in the middle for them. They're clever, quite clever.
Yeah, that was a technique I saw, and that's why I cut the mids on my stuff as well. I saw an interview with Dave Clark, and he was saying he hates mid-range. I just thought that was a really interesting thing to say. It's like, I hate mid-range. So I kind of started experimenting with it myself and just seeing what would happen if I started cutting it. Sometimes aggressively, sometimes not so much, but just pulling some of that out. And there's often like kind of frequencies which are quite boxy sounding, right? So it feels like it's the room making the noise rather than the sound making the noise.
It kind of like he has quite a bit going on in there, but it's not too much. There you go. So now it's all out.
Yeah.
Back to the dry sound.
Yeah. Well, that was the kind of crescendo of the track, right? The answer part of the question answer.
I think he's got two bass lines in there. He's got the low one that goes, and he's got the
Probably. I don't think I can hear it quite so well through your microphone as you.
Yeah, of course. But I can hear like really low bass in there, and then the high bass. So he did split his bass into like low bass and high
like
bass.
A boom, isn't it, in the background?
And you know, I noticed that with a lot of, but in a different way, but still kind of a similar technique with all the people that play melodic techno in house. For me, like everything is melodic. Even the most dissonant stuff is still melodic. It's dissonant, it's crazy, but that's the melody.
That's the melody. That's exactly.
You know, I just remember jazz. Hello, it's like in jazz. You know, you've got so many melodies, but you wouldn't say they're melodies. Because they sound like that's not it's not kind of like, you wouldn't say that's like a melody. People think melody is like la 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 la, but it's not. That's not that's not only melody. Only that is not melody.
Yeah.
There's that.
Well, you're the professor of music, so I'll take your word for it.
Well, thank you for that. But it's common sense, because you have.
I agree.
Different ways to construct melodies, But still, like in melodic techno, you have the what I was going to say is that you've got this kind of really normally, like a lot of the times, there's like a really low bass line that does boom 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 boom, something like that. And then he's going to have another one that goes like octave higher or something like that, and it would that actually fills the low end quite a lot, because then you have the in the low end In the low end, in like below 100 hertz, there's going to be kind of like quite a fat sub, right? And then above 100 hertz, there's going to be another bass line that kind of fills that space, like to maybe 200, 250 hertz, somewhere around there. So because there is
not if you're Dave Clark.
Not if you're Dave Clark. Then it's just what? It's just sub.
Cut it out completely. No mid-range. But yeah, I was talking to my flatmate in London. The place where I got the crash pad. Mark, he's a producer as well, and we were listening to some old kind of like techno and house and stuff from the early to mid 90s, and we noticed that there was basically no bass on these things. Right? There was a perception that there was lots of bass on them because the bass sound was full and big, but there was actually nothing in the bottom end.
Oh, I see.
They rolled off quite quickly, but there was enough kind of higher harmonics in the bass noise to make you believe it. It's the same with things like jungle and drum and bass.
Distortion, probably.
The bass is actually a higher pitched bass, but you perceive it as a lower pitched one because it's often like a sine wave type bass where to even hear it or get any detail on it, it needs to be higher. And this was quite a profound thing, really, because I'd been doing lots of experiments in this room trying to see how far I could push bass because I've got a really good monitoring setup and sub down there as well. So for the first time, I was able to really monitor bass properly. So I started kind of experimenting a lot more with kind of real bottom end and just actual playing defined bass at the bottom. And I came out with a few decent things which were very kind of dub sounding. But if you think about it, it's like the more bass you've got, the more electricity you need to kind of move the speakers, right? Because bass moves like that, whereas your hi-hats are moving like that. So you need more electricity to do that. So the more you take away, the more bass or low-end bass you use, the more electricity you need.
Right.
And it's a fixed amount of electricity, right? So you're taking it away from the rest of the sounds.
Right.
Right, so if you want to get the definition back in, your mids and your tops, then you kind of want to kind of have a more brutal cutoff at the bottom end, but make the bass sound make it seem like it's really a subby sound when it's not.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's whole art to it, in within engineering. So let's hear this other one. Mime.
It's the B-side, yeah.
Let's hear this one.
Yeah, this was kind of inspired by, the A-side is quite a banging tune, so I wanted to have something quite deep and something that was either early hours or late after hours, right?
Yeah.
That synth sound, that's the OB6.
OB6.
Yeah.
So that's the first synth we've seen, eh? Yeah.
See, I've got a lot more aggressive on the mid-range there.
It's good though. I mean, through my headphones, sounds quality. I like the way the kick is punching through. It's like you've got the bass, but
Yeah, it's quite a high kickstand, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know. I think people always kind of stay away from having more punch in the kick or just making it a little higher because they want the kick to be like boomy. But I think a lot of people forget that there's like kick and bass are supposed to work together. And then a lot of the times the sub that you hear in the kick, it comes from the bass. It doesn't come or from another bass line that's like underneath.
Or you flip it around and you have a big subby figure, you have a more mid-range bass. But I agree. Oh, that's the JX8P, the organ sound on the JX8P.
Yeah, I like that. I like the reverb as well. It's like reverb is super clear.
Yeah, that's the H8000, which is amazing reverb.
It's Eventide.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I mean, their reverbs are just exceptional.
Right. I've got their plugin bundle. It's pretty good.
The whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I bought one of those the other day. They've just done crystals, haven't they? Which is like the famous preset from the H3000.
All right. Can't remember which bundle I have, but I do have quite a few of them. Let's hear this. Let's hear this. It's a little bit more straight groove, but still you've got swing in there, with snares,
Yeah.
right? I like the pattern of the rim shot.
Yeah, it's just off, isn't it?
Yeah, lovely, and it really works because it's not clashing with straight beats.
Anticipation.
Nice, that's what we want. Come on, give it to me. Let's go. Nice. Bit like New Order.
Nice. Yeah, I never thought of that. Yeah, like Blue Monday.
Yeah. You can actually do it on top of this. Quite easily. You could do the Blue Monday.
I can barely hear you now.
I said you could do like a Blue Monday a cappella on top of this easy. I always like that. I always like that feeling, of the kind of electronic music that you can use as a track in a DJ set, but that you can also put full-on vocal on top if you want.
Yeah. I mean, because this is like a voxy type sound, isn't it? And it actually came from the Omnisphere plugin.
All right.
Yeah, which is a great soft synth.
Yeah, it's wicked.
It's probably my favourite.
It sounds a bit like a vocoded sound, but then put into a sampler. Kind of like just sampled and then just play it.
It's all vowels, isn't it?
Yeah. There. No, it sounds like something that Terry Francis, Eddie Richards would play, or like a lot of American guys too, like American DJs.
Yeah, it's kind of got a little bit of a like a Detroity type sound to it. Not that I ever sit down and think I'm going to make something that sounds Detroity.
No, of course,
like that.
Of course. It just comes naturally, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got this kind of like really how can I say, warm, friendly sound. This kind of like I can see that when you play this on the floor, that like creates quite a lot of unity, between people because they're all like vibing it.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like emotional, deep, and it's got that kind of. It's got that vibe that we like. People who listen to this kind of stuff.
A bit of melancholy to it as well, isn't there? As well, yeah.
But not too much, just a tiny little bit of melancholy. I think if you had like some kind of like a ballad chord progression, then you would get a lot more, because this is what people like. I'm working with one of the local rappers here and making some beats for him, and I did come across some people making beats online, and one guy was saying that we are I love to play chord progressions from ballads, and then he said that I'm not I don't make ballads, but when you put these kind of chords or chord progressions against very serious hip-hop beats, and then when somebody starts rapping on top of that, it kind of just gives a completely different different vibe. You know, it's kind of emotional but still strong. You know, because what I find
ballad hop.
What I find with, but you know how much tech house and deep house uses ballad chord progressions a lot. You know, and they are typical.
I don't even know what ballad chord progressions are. To be honest with you.
Well, just you know, just think of any ballad. You know, and
I try not to mostly.
But to be honest with you, when you strip down the beats and the vocals and leave the chords, you know, and when you put that into kind of like a tech house beat, you get this strong but you know very emotional sound. You know, same as when you use it in hip hop. You know, or in some kind of liquid drum and bass, you know, you can have those low, whatever, you know, it can be something like that. And then on its own, it sounds. I mean, I've made a video of me playing piano a couple of days ago and put it online, and it's just piano and a beat, and it sounds quite mellow. It sounds quite poppy, but when you put those chords or piano sounds, process them and put them, you know, produce them. Put them next to some serious bass line or like some cool beats, it just you know becomes something else. It's not interesting. It's not what it was anymore. So so we got one.
Well, I'll have to dig out a load of ballads now then and just start stealing their chord progressions.
Yeah, when I was working with Dave Mothersoul, we sampled. There's one of the tracks. I'm not sure if we released it on Bushwacka's Oblong or I put it on Laos. I can't remember which one it was. I can dig it out and put it in the comments or something. But we sampled Lionel Richie.
Okay.
You know the guy who sings "Hello, is it me you're looking for?"
Not a complete idiot.
But then we didn't use the whole track. I literally just used a couple of snippets. Just and I think I reversed them. They went back.
It wasn't fresh. It wasn't Freshinando, was it?
Sorry, record.
It wasn't Freshinando, the track.
No. It was. Oh yes, I think. No, it wasn't. No, that was their idea. I never knew how to pronounce that.
Well, you did the Black Eye.
Freshinando.
So it's Black Eye music and Freshinando, however you pronounce it.
Yeah.
I think that's the first time I heard of you.
But I think this was either on Laos or Oblong. You know, so as I said, I'll dig it out. But I sampled just a tiny bit of that. You know, I think it was like a couple of seconds or something, and I used it more as a sound source and put it through a reverb, a lot of delay, and reversed it. So it kind of, but it still kept that vibe, that kind of emotional, you know, deep vibe. Okay, let's go. So we got Oliver Moon remix right here. So
yeah. Oliver went for a kind of a tougher, like acid house type thing, which I think was pretty cool. Yeah.
He sped it up, didn't he? As well. Let's see. Wait. No, he didn't.
Well, the original was 130, so yeah. Nobody makes things 130 anymore.
Let's see. It's 130. So I did. Sorry, I'm just messing about with it. No, I think this is about 120, 125, 126, 127, 128. You think? That's
maybe.
Yeah, it's probably about 126, 127, something like that.
Yeah, we. Ollie made it at home, then came up here and mixed it here. So
nice.
It's the first time I've actually sat down and mixed somebody else's tracks before, which is quite a cool process as well.
Nice.
It's nice to be able to share the room. You know, it's like
no, of course.
Sharing is caring.
Of course. Let's hear it a little bit. Yeah, nice. See, bass around 45 hertz, I think. There. Yeah, it's good. It's like there's a bit more going on in the high end, right?
Yeah, Ollie likes to have a lot of kind of, because he's a drummer, he likes to throw a lot of kind of more kind of clattery percussion around.
Okay. Oh, it's got percussions in there. I like these elements that like they're reversed, or maybe they're just like being turned up. They go, yeah, there was gone.
Yeah, and then put through the inside.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a talented chap.
Yeah. Works. Definitely works. And it's got like it's a little bit more heavy in it.
Yeah. But with the 4 tracks, it's kind of nice balance between all of them. I think. Yeah, it's kind of as an EP, it's really kind of covers a lot of bases.
No, for sure. No, but it seems like something that you put quite a lot of time into. You know, it's like because to release something of this quality, it's you can't just do it in a day. I mean, I admire people who can do it all in a day, but I think it takes a little bit more than the day, you know, than a day.
Yeah, it was the same with getting all the artwork done, and we used the what's the really heavy vinyl on the pressing, so we put a lot of care into the product, you know, as a thing. We don't want it to just be something we throw out the door. It's something we really care about.
No, for sure. It's like, you know, and I think that's why it's important to master it properly, and especially if you can put it on vinyl like you can. That's like, you know, real privilege nowadays. You know, to have your tracks on vinyl, and you know, I wouldn't want to spend a day on a track and just get everyone to do remixes very quickly and then put it out on vinyl. You know, it's just, you know, because with digital it's so easy. You can just like you know, put it out on SoundCloud or whatever, you know, stream it on Facebook or whatever you want. But you know, when it comes to releasing stuff on vinyl, I think that's a lot more, and I think that's because that's what makes people, I think, work harder for it.
Yeah.
We should have more. We should have more vinyl. Definitely. I have to put more stuff on vinyl out as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it just feels more real, right? You know, you put it out there, you've got something to physically hold. You know, there's something about it which is tangible.
No, of course. And you can almost like touch the sound when you're like handling the vinyl.
Yeah.
And you can't do that with digital. You can touch your phone.
Actually, give me a second. I'll just try and find the vinyl. It's in there somewhere. Give me a second.
Go on. Hang on, let me put you full screen. Wait.
Really? So the artwork was done by my friend Miles, who's brilliant. Okay. But we want to do for each of the releases, kind of different theme like this. But you know, like the Perlon records have all got that theme, so we want to kind of have a stark kind of something that stands out as noticeably our thing.
Right.
But what's interesting as well is, so my production name is Agile Kind. This is Agile Kind in binary.
All right.
Yeah.
Wicked.
So that's actually the letters of Agile Kind.
Amazing. So, in binary. Cool. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Can you show us the record? Can you take it out? You don't see the records like that much anymore. Nice. Yeah. That's a real deal, no? Nice.
Yeah, it's a real deal.
Nice. Nice. Let's listen to a little bit more of this. And it's you know what I like about it. It's pretty fat. It's very weighty, but it kind of it's not. It's still like a lot of elements. Like all of the elements come through. You know, it's like
Well, that big bass line is the Moog. His Moog. So that's where all the weight is, right?
Yeah, sure.
took us quite a bit of time to tame the Moog. As I'm sure you know, taming a Moog is it can be quite hard.
It can be quite hard, yeah. I think with Moog, it's always about it's always kind of like leaving it open a little bit, you know, leaving the filter open. So like I think, or kind of like just, you know, if it's all closed, just like cut out quite a lot of bass.
You don't want to kill the Moog, right? The whole point, the reason we love Moogs is because they're such an incredible sound. If you remove all the resonances and all the everything, then you just kill what makes a Moog, right? So it's just finding that balance between the two.
And the thing is, you can do so much with Moog. You know, it's not like, you know, people think Moog is like just for bass lines or something. But you know, when you start doing all the solo lines, you know, it starts sounding like Pink Floyd very quickly. You know, like when you put a lot of a kind of
sounds like Pink Floyd's Moog. You mean
when you put quite a lot of delay and reverb, you know, on it, and play like a melody line with opening and closing the filter. That's when you get that sound, because Moog, it sounds like a Moog, and I think if you know, if somebody has a Moog, it shouldn't be not sounding like a Moog. You know, why do you have the Moog then? There's so many.
Well, exactly.
There's so many ways to record a sound and make it into something else.
Yeah. Well, I remember before I'd ever heard of Moog, I was just you obviously you see the word, the name, you know, brand around or whatever, and then I had a plugin which emulated a Moog. I mean, we're talking, this is 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's crap. Why? What's everybody going on about? And then I went to my friend's studio in Austria and heard his real Moog. Yeah. And then I got it, and then I understood.
Yeah, of
right.
course.
You know, it's like, okay, right. There's a different thing here, right?
Yeah,
and there's something about the character of Moog which is just insane.
Yeah,
right?
I do love my Moog, I must say. Got it right here. Sub 37. So what's your?
Yeah, that's the one I used to have myself, actually.
Oh, you've got Sub 37.
I had one, but now I've just got the Moog clone module thing. The clones of Prodigy. They got the exact circuit diagrams of the original, and source the same components to build it. So it's as close as, well, actually it's more Moog than my Sub 37 was.
All right.
Yeah. Which is, you know, quite a surprising thing.
Oh yeah, you did show it earlier in your modular wall.
Yeah. But I find the Sub 37 because it's a sharper Moog sound, isn't it? It's it's more modern Moog, and I struggled with it a bit to get that mixed into tracks, which is probably just more my lack of ability than anything else. But with that, it's kind of got that the grit of the old Moog sound, which is what I really like.
Yeah, amazing. So what are your plans for the future? I mean, I know nowadays it's very difficult to predict the future.
Get a haircut first.
Oh yeah.
Really need a haircut.
I don't think you should. I don't think you should. I think maybe just do the tops.
Yeah, it's getting out of control. You know, before lockdown, this was a number one on the side. So you can see how, it's just getting crazy. Well, the plan is for the label is we're working on 002 now, which is Ollie's tracks. So what we're trying to do is kind of keep it focused on us. So I do a release, he does a release. So he's done a remix of mine, which you just heard. I'll do a remix of his. And then we're probably going to come up with a new alias, which will be us together.
Oh, wow.
We'll just make some stuff here.
Cool.
And then see where we are after the third release.
Cool.
And maybe look for producers that we respect or whatever. Or just keep doing what we're doing and just bring in remixes that we really like to kind of help carry the releases. But Ollie's done a couple of tracks the ideas are all fleshed out, it's all done, but he's going to come up here and we're going to mix them down here, so he can make use of the equipment and really kind of make his tracks sound as good as possible.
Wicked.
But they sound so good at the moment. So
yeah. No, I can hear, and I was checking this out on speakers earlier on. Now listen to that, and I hear that it's like really, really good sound. And I'm sure a lot of people will support and play this stuff. You know.
Yeah, I think, and also, yeah, because Ollie's got good breeding, right? You know, he's the son of Matthew Bushwhacker, right? So, but he's well on his journey to kind of challenging for the best Benjamin, I think. So,
No, definitely, definitely. You know,
yeah,
he's a lovely person as well.
yeah,
I did
yeah,
meet him when I was in London last time. But
yeah.
what about the parties? Are you planning any parties in any time in the future?
Not at the moment.
Like a or label party or something like that, you know?
That so
When the time
when
is right, you know.
Well, we were going to do a launch party. It was the 1st of May, but then lockdown happened, so we couldn't do it. So that's why we did a bit of a soft launch of the label rather than kind of a big PR push or anything like that. Or, but it would be nice. Probably we'll do it on the release of 002, I guess, once the world has stopped going crazy.
Sure.
To do like a release party slash late launch party, right? That would be nice to do, and but nothing is set in stone at the moment because it's we're living in a crazy world.
We're living in crazy times as well.
Yeah. Well, especially the UK, right? It's just can I come and live with you in Croatia?
No, you can. You know, you got your invitation, right? Yeah. So
it arrived in the post this morning.
Exactly. We can go swimming and fishing and drinking wine.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, lovely to speak to you, and thanks for your contribution. And I say good luck with your music, with your releases and stuff.
Likewise, mate.
And
Likewise.
I'll definitely be supporting.
You know, I've always been a big fan of the Haris music, so I need to hear more of yours as well.
Oh, thank you. Really appreciate that. Well, have a good day, Paul, and speak to you soon. And
you too, mate. You too.
Bye.
Bye, mate. Bye.